Small, highly synchronized five-person cells do not merely compete with entrenched global giants, they systematically dismantle and take them down. At their inception, Facebook and Airbnb were absolute nobodies going up against unassailable Goliaths like IBM and the Ritz-Carlton network, incumbents that possessed decades of industry experience and absolute consumer loyalty. Defeating these entities requires a highly specialized human architecture rather than a random assortment of generalists. You are recruiting specific system warriors capable of driving nonlinear velocity. Your cell requires 5 specific functions: the metric tracking analyst, the friction deleting operator, the obsessive builder, the certainty engineering seller, and the cultural storyteller. True systemic disruption is never an accident of raw volume. Instead, it is the direct result of precise organizational leverage. Analytical. The analyst acts as the foundation, evaluating the ledger baseline to spot bottlenecks and calculate the exact mathematical point of sustainability. In a low-overhead startup, the founder must execute this role personally to extend the runway before the first product is ever built. WeWork stands as the ultimate cautionary tale of metric ignorance. While valued at $47 billion, their valuation collapsed by 90% the moment investors audited the underlying sustainability of their model. Leadership had fallen in love with the product while remaining blind to the internal cracks in their ledger. As the enterprise gains velocity, administrative friction begins to strip away your capacity to focus on growth. This is the entry point for the operator, the system glue that handles internal compliance and day-to-day maintenance. The operator permanently blocks capital leaks by installing automated self-service user tools and rigid compliance parameters. They maintain the day-to-day fort, allowing the founder to focus exclusively on macro strategy. Deploying capital into marketing before securing this ironclad data and operational baseline creates a terminal cliff where the business eventually runs out of liquid dry powder. Once the foundation is secure, the cell introduces the builder, the first hire who is demonstrably more knowledgeable than the founder within their specific vertical. This obsessive craft monopolist focuses exclusively on translating abstract concepts into elite digital or physical versions of the offering. Jony Ive functioned as the definitive template for this role, clinically translating Steve Jobs' high-level concepts into iconic consumer hardware. The builder thrives in an insulated environment, pushing their craft to the limit without the distraction of managing personnel or legal frameworks. However, a pristine product remains useless if it sits isolated inside a development sandbox. To transform a high-end prototype into a monetization machine, you must bridge the gap to the market. That bridge is built by the seller. Safra Catz masterminded Oracle's ascension by acting as a premier certainty engineer. She structured over 130 complex deals, locking global corporations and governments into the Oracle ecosystem for decades. Combining the builder's detail execution with the seller's absolute market certainty is what transforms a hobby into a high-velocity capital engine. To command a global market share, the enterprise installs the Storyteller. This role translates cold, functional product utility into a premium lifestyle narrative and a psychological identity layer for the consumer. Elite cultural architects like Bozoma St. John systematically realign stagnant corporate identities with macro-cultural shifts. At Uber, she re-engineered the brand image during a PR crisis by recentering the public conversation around human connection and accessibility. Eventually, even the most efficient cell hits a terminal growth wall, where previous systems break and operational decisions carry immense friction. You resolve this through the big hire protocol, deploying a hyper-specialized, high-overhead elite veteran to fix the specific bottleneck choking your expansion. Angela Ahrendts functioned as a definitive big hire for Burberry, executing a digital retail expansion that targeted younger demographics while preserving premium exclusivity. Apple later poached her to transform their retail stores from shopping zones into cultural hubs. Achieving an unassailable cultural gravity shield requires identifying your peak structural stall and securing the industry expert who can liquidate that specific friction. These 5 roles form an optimized system loop that you must eventually perform or hire. Your current liquid capital baseline determines whether you are currently the one playing every role or the one ready to recruit your first warrior. If you command over $100,000 in liquid reserves, you execute the Norway model. At this checkpoint, your directive is to maximize active income efficiency and funnel every unit of excess currency straight into low-cost market index funds. If your net worth sits below that threshold, you enter the South Korea phase. Your primary asset is the volume of your uncompensated hours. You trade those hours to master a high-income technical capability, such as automated data architecture or performance marketing. You then funnel that intensified active income directly into building a scalable digital product or a real estate portfolio. This creates a machine that prints cash flow independent of your presence. Replace the habit of defensive consumption with the calculations of a financial architect. Your goal is to design a system that secures your absolute sovereignty. Running this custom optimization code based on your exact capital baseline is the only verified way to buy back your lifecycle autonomy from the open market.